Hello all, I'm Queen Lady Honey. I want to share something with you. The last time I went live, I went live and I talked about altar. And that altar, so I was standing at the altar with God, and I was asking you to alter with the ER. I was at the AR with God. And when I'm going live, what I'm doing is I'm allowing my heart to come alive. I know physically I'm here, what you see, but spiritually, I'm coming before you to make an announcement. So here I am, and you see that dot. And the reason I have that dot there is because that's how small I am compared to who God is. I know this. I notice how magnificent God is. I acknowledge who God is in my life. God is manifesting himself in all areas of my life. And the fact that I get to see God in such a way that's so sacred, I don't know how people are containing their joy, their peace, their love, their goodness, the gentleness, the faithfulness, the kindness, the self-control. My cup runneth over. And as I am celebrating all that God is and all that I'm not, I don't see people having the same response as I'm having about the God I'm serving. I see a lot of compromise, and I use my platform to show life, freedom. As I'm sharing who I've become, I often seek salt. I often seek iron that's supposed to sharpen me. And I've waited years. This is my 7th year with God. And so I've gone to many churches, and the first church that I met God, it was at a small church in Alabama. And that church, maybe it was 100 people, and it was, if 100 people, I'm just exaggerating. If it was 100 people, it was like a handful of people. And this group of people, they were white. And primarily they were Caucasian white men. And those men, when I was at the bottom of my identity, when I was at the crossroads, I could not think a clear thought. I couldn't buy a clear thought. Those men came to my vehicle with an umbrella, and they ushered me in. They could not believe that I chose that church, but God chose that church for me. When I had an encounter with God, and I said, God, if you do these 2 things for me, if you can do the impossible by taking my depression, you do the impossible by taking my anxiety, I asked God to do what I thought could never be done. So I was trying to shoo God. This God that I serve took my depression. He took the anxiety. Guys, until that happens to you, you don't understand. He responded real time. And then he began to speak to me. Like, I don't even know. He was like, that church, I want you to go to that church. I pulled up, I looked, I'm like, no one looks like me here. I'm like, what do I look like going into this church? There were married couples. And I'm like, God, no one has had a sin issue like I have. I'm embarrassed to go in here telling these people. I was like, oh my goodness. But it was there. They had an altar. They had an altar. And when I walked into that building, when that man came with that umbrella, he had to be like 60, 70 years old. They were so shocked that I was coming in there. And my kids was like, well, we go to school with white people, Mama. We can go in there. But I had never opened my heart. The only people I've ever opened my heart to was a white woman, but I never was able to click with a white woman. I was able to get close, but not too close, because sometimes we all guarded. I walked in there, that pastor, that white man came to me. You hear me? He didn't take days to approach, honey. He came to me and he said it was an honor to have me there. His wife, they immediately, that's what I'm trying to tell you, day one. On the first day, God knew that I didn't have a second chance for them to get it right with me. They got it right the first day. And they allowed me to lay at the altar. They allowed me to cry out. They allowed me to undo in front of them. My children were on the seat, on the pew, and I was crying out to God. And as I was crying out to God, I'm like, well, I'm here, I'm broken, I'm hurt. I haven't felt peace. I can't tell you the last time I felt peace. I can't tell you the last time I felt loved. I can't tell you the last time I felt valued. I can't tell you the last time I felt honored. I feel like you have abandoned me. Why did you choose the family that you chose? Why did you allow me to be hurt? Why am I filled with confusion? How did I go from straight A student to out of my mind? I feel trapped, right? And I sat there. They didn't have a time schedule of service. I cried, and every Wednesday, they would bring us together in a circle. And we would grab hands, and we would pray. And we would pray. And God met me at that church. And then, I was having a good time. The kids were growing, and I was growing, and I was coming alive. And then God asked me to, I had an opportunity to move, to come to Chattanooga. And I did not want to go, because all I knew is South Carolina and Alabama. I had never left. And I wasn't familiar with change. And I knew I didn't know anyone here. But I knew an associate that I moved here with. And so I grew in God. And then I come to Chattanooga looking for that church. And I cannot find that church. Because all that pastor wanted was God. He didn't want the people. He didn't want the money. He wanted my heart changed. Because I wanted my heart to change. I wanted healing. I wanted God to capture my attention. I never had the attention of my parents. I never was watched. I was left. I was alone. And I had to deal with the trauma of my childhood by myself. And I've searched. And I sought God. Guys, I want you to know, there is no building that has changed, honey. There has been a relationship with God that has changed me. So when you see this, there is no Christian that has wrapped their arms around me. It has been the love of God since 2018 in October. God has wrapped me in his arms, and he loved the hell out of me. And since that day, I've been looking for people to love me like God, to look at me like God, to honor me like God, and I'm auditioning. People put me on a stage to audition for love. So I'm sitting with God, and my heart is so connected to God. And on my platform, I'm sharing my authentic self. And when I think about what I don't receive from people that say that they have God, that they love God, they love the attention that they receive from you. It's not about God. I dropped everything I knew. I lost my job the same day. I lost my home. Days later, when I gave my life to Christ, I was stripped down to nothing. I was sleeping on a mattress in the living room. I watched how my mom, my relatives, I watched how they looked at me when I was stripped. God stripped me of everything, but he's telling me he loved me. I lost the reputation. I lost the relationships I had for 10 plus years. I have walked blindly with God, trusting God. I walked away from security. I walked away from people I thought was keeping me safe, but they feared me. They feared my light. They feared my anointing. They feared my call. The whole time I didn't know that people feared me. And I feared being rejected. I feared being abandoned. So I would compromise. I would people please to get my mom, my dad's attention. I tried to fight for the attention of people that did not know love. And here I am again. I'm at a place, and all I'm asking God is for his reflection. All I'm asking God for is his reflection. And I know that sounds like a small ask. I don't ask God for houses. I don't ask God for money. I ask God to not let me be led astray. Don't let my heart be corrupt, because people will sell their soul for title. People will sell their soul for opportunity. But people don't really love God. Oh God, I'm trying to tell you, I've went from church to church to church to church, trying to rid myself of idolatry, because my grandmother was a pastor, and I know that the fall in my family, it was idolatry. It was idolatry. Oh my God. We were taught to worship my grandmother and not God. My grandmother was the sweetest. She introduced me to faith. But I only met my grandmother. I never met God. And when I learned God and I met God for myself, when y'all see me and I see people get jealous and envious, they're envious that I'm free. They're envious that I'm set apart. I didn't ask for any of this. God came to me while I was a sinner and identified me as chosen as his leader. Because I've been chosen by God, I walk alone. I'm not acknowledged about being gifted, by being anointed. People are afraid of the call on my life. So just imagine not being affirmed, not being loved properly as a child. Having your family willingly allow the Satan to walk off with you. Losing the family you thought that loved you, but they never did. And then becoming a parent. And God says, you are a mother. I didn't want to be married. I didn't want to have children because I thought something was wrong with me. I didn't think I could create anything with brokenness. So when I come on here and I freestyle and I go live, because that's what I'm asking you to do. To come alive. But I know you don't trust it. I know that your heart is scarred. I know what it feels like to be in hiding and to be in a dark place inside of yourself. And you try to do all the things to numb the pain, but even numbness is not enough. And you hear God knocking, you hear God talking to you, but you don't see anyone coming alive. You don't see the disciples. You don't see the true chosen of God because there is no safe place where you are. I'm here to let you know there is no safe place where I am. So when you see me, you think that I lose community. Because when I see and I go to places and I hear my intended shepherd to watch over me, and all they want is status. And all I want to do is be loved, seen, heard, and valued by the one God. When I pray, I don't even know how to ask God for anything because he gave me my mind back. He gave me the choice to love me. There was nothing wrong with me. Oh, gosh. I don't even know how. What I'm trying to say is, I'm that little dot that I put on the screen. That little dot. My small person. When no aunt, no uncle, no grandparent came to see about me. That little person, I'm just this small person in a billion of people. God saw me. He saw the pain. Oh God, he saw the pain. He saw how I was treated. Oh God. No one protected me. And then I come and be the mother, and the men I had children with, they never came to honor or protect me. But I had to do what God called me to do because he chose me for it. Because God is a just God. And so I had to watch me be the smartest, have the talent, and watch God choose me to be humiliated. For me to see that a lot of people pretend. I was too real, too raw, too truthful for dead people. I was calling my kids' fathers higher. They dare not me call them to be who God called them to be. Dare not me ask my grandmother to be the woman of God and protect the women in the family. But because she had title, she would turn a blind eye. As long as she was getting an offering. And I go into church, and I go into churches, and I see it's all about clicks. It's all about status. Jesus in the manger wouldn't be accepted in the church. Because in 7 years, it took a man that did not hurt me in that church in 2018. He didn't want anything from me. He didn't even care if I had tithed, but I learned how to do those things in that church. When they had Easter baskets, they got my kids Easter baskets. They didn't even know that God stripped me down from nothing. Can you imagine having and losing because you chose God? The enemy wanted me back on the other side. I watched my kids be mistreated. Because I didn't have a job, I really got to see how people would treat me with nothing. I got to watch my siblings. I was stepped on. And when I gave my life to Christ, God asked me to do one of the hardest things. He asked me to deal with that trauma. And I walked through that trauma. I hated men forever, for a long time. And you know what God did? He gave me men that neglected me. That put children inside of me and neglected me and said, love them. God wrung out my heart. And I didn't want to share his word. I was like, God is nothing but idolatry. I don't think people can really love you from a pure place. And here I am.